Thoughts do not stay for very long, as the experience from feelings and thus the reasoning for writing down as often as they appear to be intense enough to make note of. Beliefs must align with feeling, and the thought must be at its apex of well-being to believe it so. Holding onto the ruling echoes from old thoughts that do not feel right create chronic uneasy states of being. Within the moment is all there is, in constant flux, and thus for its economy. Excerpts from page 460 of 852 from The Sovereign Light, A Course in Metaphysical Spirituality, and welcome. My name is Reverend Maria Arvanitides, and this place that finds you here for day 166, lesson 145, pages 461, 2, and 3. Audio, video, visual version of this novel, in case you didn't know. And this might be your first time on this channel, Love's Creations Unlimited. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see perhaps a thread for a donation box that you can click and you know, perhaps it would be greatly appreciated to donate to this cause that would support for the purpose of this ministry. And you can also find from the very beginning, ongoing process right to the end, that we're working on here. If you would like and you wish to start from the very beginning, because this channel might not have, which it doesn't, it just shows the samples, it won't show all of them, these lessons. You can always find me on Patreon, capital R, small m, capital A. And the link is down below, just click on that. And you can become a member. I believe it's anything from $5, $10 to $20 a month. You can also join my private group on Facebook, The Sovereign Light Ministry. And as this place finds us here to begin, and yet another lesson from this book, this novel, if you will, we can take a few deep breaths in and out, and find that place of center, and then just ground and open to find the congregation, that place, that center, from within your heart, that soul connection that brings you here to enlighten and become sovereign in your own right, within your own light of awareness that would and is your consciousness to empower yourself with and take ownership of your presence in the here and now moment. With a few deep breaths in and out, very simple. And this is where it starts, straightening the spine. And you can do this with your eyes open, and you can do this with your eyes closed. The reason why I like to have you with your eyes closed was so that you can work on your imagination and your visualization and all these beautiful things that we have that we can enhance in order to become creator beings. And shall we begin? Sounds good. Today's lesson starts with this affirmation that you can repeat or say out loud or just listen in and have it activate throughout the day as it unfolds for you to engage with. And take some time to use this perspective to filter throughout your day everything that you perceive to be as real, all your interactions, everything that you might find yourself engaging with. This affirmation, the electrical component, that will stimulate throughout the day to attract or repel everything that unfolds before you, so that you may clear and become mindful in this way, from victim to creator, from irresponsible to responsible. Our mission is this agenda to evolve to the next level of density and to a fifth dimensional quantum level that can only be made possible through the heart connection and mind, body as one within your morphogenic field to become united and unified. And I can keep repeating this or write it down or however you want to see it, but to put it into one word, I have done so. You either get it or you don't. This frequency, this resonance cannot be forced and enforced. As many other authorities that indirectly hire other minions to do their bidding in the form of dark magic. This is a higher form of alchemy that we're dealing with. And so you either get it or you don't. And you're here for a reason. It starts with miracles. And this book, this novel, as we will continue on, because I can go on and expand it into a sermon, which I have made samples of in the very beginning of this book. And so let's begin. Make yourself comfortable enough to trust in this experience that only you authentically, uniquely will have within your awareness. Lesson 145. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. These are very powerful words. So anytime throughout the day you get triggered, say out loud, at the very least, think about this idea that will come to save your day. In every engagement, and see how it changes your perspective. Working to live rather than living to work is still a misconception from the ego mind. Thriving, therefore, does not vibe in resonance to strain itself, and this creative effort that sustains it in the maintenance of survival mode. Could it be that all has unfolded and like a replay from before to resemble in these thoughts? They just might be passing through. How is this circumstance unlike before, and that the self has changed enough to see it play out slightly different? As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. To see the world in discomfort, in pain, and lacking of everything is to not see it at all. The misconception is such that the self will take on to believing for itself and what it thinks it is seeing simulated and in relation from its own experience. What once was in the moment and in the very next, different. It is in these subtleties that hope can resurrect in all the worst of situations. So, when the outside circumstances and the subjects we engage with of the many that try to convince us it just is, it just is the old formality of how it was, the uncomfortable, unchanging ways of the past. Unyielding to the change is. That is the greatest compromise of stunting the growth and potential. So, next time someone has the tenacity to keep resisting, let them. When they try to enforce that resistance, just know there's always hope. Hope. Hope within all that density. The more dense it becomes, the more justice will be served. Because it just is. Just accept it. That what was once will never be from one moment to the next. And the more we try to keep it there in groups and fight against each other by taking sides, that's food for thought. I'll just leave it open for you to consider, and how hope can relate in your experiences of how you see these outcomes. Within the present is the only way to make any difference, and this means letting go of any preconceived notions. The future does not require the past to formulate, nor does the past rely on the future to save it. Rather, the present is the only truth to show for in the moment in itself. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. all the undesirable feelings that have the world enslaved is largely from the way the self-perception leads the way. Never pity, nor feel sorry for the world, rather see it in the way of all its glory. The mind, because it is not compassion to see it in any other way. The mind is what gives the meaning, and from previous experiences, combined with outside circumstances, to how it wishes to formulate. Today, practice the realization of this and become empowered from the claiming of it. Own it with feeling. When the mind changes, so does its world, and pride only dulls the brilliance of praise from its truth. The level of acceptance to heal and to be able to recognize rests in this lesson, and for the many who can grasp it. Find the world and not be of it, and as sudden as the climax of death brings when coming back to teach it, that it does not exist, or find the paradox that experience and not from this world can make transparent. Is there a difference between pride and praise? I'll leave you that. It may be open for discussion at a later date. It was the thoughts from source that created self, the self into being, this awareness. Set it free and make it feel separate from the world that it has created, and to reflect in the very same way. Anytime there's a separation, it creates adversity that we may learn to learn from the dismantling and breaking apart, to take apart and reassemble. Let me capitulate on that. There's a lot that can be learned within the gaps of the polarities. And this is the shadow work. And from this perspective, master and teacher are one and the same, and in this dance together, the music plays on. The real creations await in the melody to aspire from the divine essence to core expression. Feel within the frequency and play with the reflections. What frequency are you resonating to and with throughout the day? That you decide to engage, and how does it feel? Well, the conditions mixed in with the unconditional, free flowing, doing from the being, and then the other that is of duty and forced upon through its darker version of magic. The first step to anything is becoming aware of it. This is what enlightenment is. When you're aware of it, then you can decide and you can learn how to discern. Release the shadows of a dying world and that idle thoughts created. The home that nature has set out, and along with the universe that gifts it. Everything it wishes for is where the mind must learn to trust and perfectly surrender and break free from all those binds that keep it separate from the oneness of this love. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. Invest a moment throughout the day, break it up. It doesn't have to be morning and evening, lunch, or what have you, but kind of make it that separation of those polar extremes as morning and evening, preferably. And if you want something in between, that's okay too. And throughout the day, and just modify from your own resonance what best suits in the following supportive statements, or even a prayer like momentum that can support for today's affirmation. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world and focus on the following intention that can liberate and free it from self-made illusions. Only in the present moment do I have the choice over my reality and to be observed from a place of love. In these words is the reassurance to back up and support the idea for today. And by remaining consciously aware within the stillness and with very little effort, release the mind into its silence. And how do we do that? By taking a few deep breaths in until we feel our heart is open. And how do we know our heart is open? By the way we're breathing. And that we can test how shallow or how deep is the indicator of how closed or open our heart is. So, open your arms if you have to. Yawn if you have to. Find something that you can think of that will make you sigh. And say, as the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. Only in the present moment do I have a choice over my reality and to be observed from a place of love. So in the morning or evening, set aside a time where you can have like a little prayer to formulate in such a way that these statements compile together to sample your own that will support this idea for today. And the relief will be felt, and it is not for it to be made any sense over just yet. If you so wish, as it's broken up in such a way, and throughout all the other lessons, again, it was like this for you to be moved by in some way and create, to be stimulated, if you will, from your own imagination and creativity to come up through these inspirations. It's all about how you feel. If you feel nothing, then you're not getting it. And if you feel nothing, I assure you throughout the day, you will be feeling something. Even if it hits you with a 2x4 over the head, you will feel it. And then how do you apply these lessons? Are these perhaps too subtle? Well, then maybe you need a trainer or some kind of coaching or some kind of military kind of thing. And eventually, you'll find your way from that harsh, dense reality and know that there is hope. And hope will guide you through it. Hope, faith, forgiveness, and all the other little gifts that this book offers to ensure your passage into transcendence. This is an inside job. No one's going to do the work for you. And this is why this is no boot camp. The boot camp is your life it's your experiences. So you can go throughout the rest of your life just being a victim, or learn how to become responsible over your circumstances. Know they are the symptoms of what's reflecting in your world to interact with, that comes from within. So throughout the day, repeat as often as the following affirmation: with every decision, I create a shift in my awareness. Every time you're confronted with a choice to make a decision, do you say, I have no choice? Do you believe in that delusional reality that brings forth to you, blindly covers you in saying you have no choice? Your hands are tied. You're unfortunate, and keep repeating that to the many others until you're just so stuck you become crystallized. Well, you're not even that. So there's hope. Just remember, there are always these little things that can bring you back. Hope is one of them. Hope can bring anyone out incrementally from the depths of hell, from the densest places. There is hope. So know that with every decision, I create a shift in my awareness. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world, because only in the present moment do I have a choice over my reality and to be observed from a place of love. The purpose is to let the past be lifted and release the future from its worries. Grasp the level of responsibility and where the importance lives in here, in the now. This world is full of it in the three-dimensional density. The more dense, the more you have to prove with resume, with your experience, with your set skills that narrows you down to a little me perspective, and that you must repeat over and over and over to earn the respect of others in order to have the trust. That's enslavement. And are you contributing to that? Or are you breaking free from that? Or bending back and forth like a pendulum? You say, oh, the law enforcements never take sides. They get paid and they have no thoughts of their own. Just do as somebody says. They're mindless, heartless. Oh, post-traumatic stress disorders. How much can you just keep pushing and pushing down? How much can a person resist? Well, eventually the healing will take place for everyone. There's hope. And so I will leave you with this. And I hope it finds you well, in a good place. It's not the circumstances that matter, your state of being is what creates your circumstances. Your circumstances are just symptoms of what has already been stated from your being. And the more dense the reality, the walls start closing in, and these echoes reflect back and forth from one side to the other until it just like cancel out the illusion altogether. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. Only in the present moment do I have choice over my reality and to be observed from a place of love. With every decision, I create a shift in my awareness. From that, if you require further explanation, let me know. I'll be here. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world. As the observer, I release all misconceptions of my world.